Nehemiah chapter 10. Those who sealed it were Nehemiah the governor, the son of Hakaliah, Zedekiah, Sariah, Azariah, Jeremiah, Pashur, Amariah, Melchijah, Hattush, Shebaniah, Maluk, Harim, Miramoth, Obadiah, Daniel, Ginnathon, Barak, Meshullam, Abijah, Mijamin, Maaziah, Bilgai, and Shemaiah. These were the priests. The Levites, Jeshua, son of Azaniah, Binnui, of the sons of Henadad, Kadmiel, and their associates, Shebaniah, Hodiah, Kelita, Peliah, Hanan, Micah, Rehob, Hashabiah, Zakur, Sherebiah, Shebaniah, Hodiah, Bani, and Beninu. The leaders of the people, Parosh, Pahath-Moab, Elam, Zatu, Bani, Onai, Azgad, Bibai, Adonijah, Bigvai, Adin, Eta, Hezekiah, Azur, Hodiah, Hashem, Bezai, Harif, Anathoth, Nebai, Magpiash, Meshullam, Hezer, Meshezabeel, Zadok, Jajua, Pelatiah, Hanan, Anaiah, Hoshea, Hananiah, Hashub, Halohesh, Pilha, Shobek, Rehum, Hajabna, Maaseiah, Ahiah, Hanan, Anan, Maluk, Harim, and Baana. The rest of the people, priests, Levites, gatekeepers, musicians, temple servants, and all who separated themselves from the neighboring peoples for the sake of the law of God, together with their wives and all their sons and daughters who were able to understand. All these now join their fellow Israelites, the nobles, and bind themselves with a curse and an oath, to follow the law of God given through Moses, the servant of God, and to obey carefully all the commands, regulations, and decrees of the Lord our Lord. We promise not to give our daughters in marriage to the peoples around us, or take their daughters for our sons. When the neighboring peoples bring merchandise or grain to sell on the Sabbath, we will not buy from them on the Sabbath or on any holy day. Every 7th year, we will forego working the land, and we will cancel all debts. We assume the responsibility for carrying out the commands to give 1/3 of a shekel each year for the service of the house of our God, for the bread set out on the table, for the regular grain offerings and burnt offerings, for the offerings on the Sabbaths, at the new moon feasts, and at the appointed festivals, for the holy offerings, for sin offerings to make atonement for Israel, and for all the duties of the house of our God. We, the priests, the Levites, and the people, have cast lots to determine when each of our families is to bring to the house of our God at set times each year a contribution of wood to burn on the altar of the Lord our God, as it is written in the law. We also assume responsibility for bringing to the house of the Lord each year the first fruits of our crops and of every fruit tree. As it is also written in the law, we will bring the firstborn of our sons and of our cattle, of our herds, and of our flocks to the house of our God, to the priests ministering there. Moreover, we will bring to the storerooms of the house of our God, to the priests, the first of our ground meal, of our grain offerings, of the fruit of all our trees, and of our new wine and olive oil. And we will bring a tithe of our crops to the Levites, for it is the Levites who collect the tithes in all the towns where we work. A priest descended from Aaron is to accompany the Levites when they receive the tithes, and the Levites are to bring 1/10 of the tithes up to the house of our God, to the storerooms of the treasury. The people of Israel, including the Levites, are to bring their contributions of grain, new wine, and olive oil to the storerooms, where the articles for the sanctuary and for the ministering priests, the gatekeepers, and the musicians are also kept. We will not neglect the house of our God.
Matthew Matthew 14. At that time, Herod the judge heard the reports about Jesus, and he said to his attendants, "This is the John of the Baptist. He has risen from the dead. That is why miraculous powers at work at him." Now Herod had arrested John and bound him and put him in prison because of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife. For John had been said to him, "It is not lawful for you to have her." Herod wanted to kill John, but he was afraid of the people, because they considered John a prophet. On Herod's birthday, the daughter of Herodias danced for the guests and pleased Herod so much that he promised with oath to give her whatever she asked. Prompted by her mother, she said, "Give me here on the platter the head of John the Baptist." The king was distressed, but because of his oath and his dinner guests, he ordered that her request be granted and had John beheaded in person. His head was brought in on a platter and given to the girl, who carried it to her mother. John's disciples came and took his body, buried it. Then they went and told Jesus. When Jesus heard what had happened, he withdrew by boat privately to a solitary place, away of this. Uh, the crowd followed him on foot from the towns. When Jesus had landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them and then healed their sick. As evening approached, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a remote place, and this is already getting late. Send the crowds away. Go there and go to the village and then buy themselves some food." Jesus replied, "They not to need to go away. You give them something to eat." "We have here only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish," they answered. "Bring them here to me," and he direct by the people to sit down on the grass. Take the 5 loaves and 2 fish they give, looking up to heaven. He gave thanks and broke the loaves, and he gave to them disciples, and the disciples gave them to the people. They all ate well and satisfied, and the disciples found the 12 baskets full of broken pieces that were left over. The number of those who ate up was about 5,000 men, beside women and children. Immediately, Jesus made the disciples to get in of the boat and go ahead on him to the other side. While he dismissed the crowd, after he had dismissed them, he went up on the mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night, he was there alone, and the boat was already a considerable distance from land, buffeted by the waves because the wind was against it. Shortly before dawn, Jesus went down to them, walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him on the lake, they were terrified. "It is a ghost," and cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid, Lord. If it's you," Peter replied, "Tell me, come to you on the water." "Come," he said. Then Peter got down off the boat, walked off the water, on the water, and came forward Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and beginning to sink, cried out, "Lord, save me!" Immediately reached Jesus out his hand and caught him. "You of little faith," he said, "why did you doubt?" They and when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. Then those who were in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly you are trust on Son of God." 34. When they had crossed over, they landed at Gennesaret. And when the men of that place recognized Jesus, they sent word all surrounding country. People brought all their sick to him and begged him to let the sick and just touch the edge of the cloak, and all who touched it were healed.